I was just a boy, my mama said, son, there's more to life than just the girls and fun. Gotta pay your dues like your daddy did. It put him in the grave, but that's the way it is. Wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then. The mean old boss, well, he ain't no friend. Watching my life going down the drain. This job of mine is like a ball and chain. I hate the job, I hate the pay. Run myself a ragged till my dying day. What's the point in caring? What's the use in trying? 'Cause at the end of the day, I'm just a slave to the grind. Well, I work my fingers to the bone and my body's a wreck. Living hand to mouth and check to check. Like my daddy said on his dying day, I got one boot on the other foot's in the grave. I wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then. The mean old boss, well, he ain't
Good morning. My name's Doug, and welcome to Doppler'S Gear Garage. Well, we kind of talk about whatever you might want to be talking about. Also, in a little bit, we're going to jump to Chris's questions. Because my dear friend Chris Alexander is always kind enough to send some questions through. But before we do that, let me just check in the chat here and see who we have saying hello. Braxel, good morning to you, my friend. How goes it? I have some guitar advice for you and for everybody. I've been doing a bunch of stuff over the years, playing through various effects and whatnot. I've been spending some time playing just straight into the amp, no effects, no reverb, no nothing. And I can admit that kind of at first you plug in if you're used to using a lot of effects and whatnot. Or even some that when you plug in, it's just you and the amp and the speaker cabinet. You know, hanging in is a part of the process. So I'm going to philosophize for a moment, and we're going to jump back into my tone recipe for cleansing that which you just kind of want to find yourself in that next space, right? For those of you who don't know, Braxel and I were doggy dads, and Braxel recently lost one of his doggy kids, and it is hard going, but it's part of this process. We love our animals, and we outlive them, and then we miss them. So in any case, I've got an old guy here, and kind of every time I see him, I'm like, you know what? I want to be purposeful about the fact that, like, you know what? I don't know how much time he's got, and increasingly I'm just aware that he's getting closer. So the point being is it's hard. Guitar is, for me, many ways therapy. It allows me to kind of exercise, if you will, some of the things that I just can't get out with words or just kind of whatever things that you might do to express yourself. Yelling, smiling, driving too fast, driving too slow, eating too much. Did I say that? So the point being is that, Braxel, and my advice to you, and first of all, let me say a quick good morning. Tim, how are you doing, my dear friend? Jason, welcome back. I will be at NAMM 2027. All right, so this is for everybody. It's especially for you, Braxel. You know, you've got all that old Marshall gear. There is nothing like plugging straight into the amp. bloom on the notes as it relates to the string and the amp without the bloom that happens in the space of the delays and the reverb. And it's a really splendid thing. And I have to give my initial inspiration for this. Shout out to Jared James Nichols. There's a video of him online. First of all, if you watch him play, he's never playing with delay or reverb. There may be some natural reverb in the room of whatever space he's in, but it's one of the reasons you could hear every little thing he plays with such clarity. And there was this shot of him playing at some outdoor venue in Europe, and his tone with the natural reverberation inside the venue was so clear but had this warmth of venue. I'm like, it had everything that you want to get when you hit the string. And the thing about playing with delay and reverb, which I love, which I'm not giving up, but the delay and the reverb has its own tone. Quite often less bright than the initial, if you will, transient of the guitar. And the other thing about where this amp is set, this is the 90s dual rectifier standard dressing. And the thing is that I am in the red channel, which is compared to the orange channel, the transients come off the amp the fastest. So it means that you have the least amount of time to kind of hit the string and have the note bloom. It's a shorter bloom, but once you get used to the shorter bloom, that is, say, that moment you hit the string, and those starts to go, wah. And I got really comfortable doing that with the orange channel, which has just got a little bit more space in the same way that when you add reverb delay, it gives you kind of more space. And the notes, and it also has because we have a tendency to set them less bright than the initial transient, you feel you kind of using the delay and the reverb for part of your bloom, especially if you're just using reverb, which I love. But there's also something to be said, and again, Braxel, this is to you, my friend. Spend some time riding the volume control, because you and I are old school enough. Bring it down. Go to the neck there. The other thing I'm going to suggest, playing some keys that you don't normally play in. So I kind of went here, and quite often I'll be relative to G major, so I'm going to hit the 4 at C. But I just felt the B flat. Kind of walked my way down. To F. And again, one of the things, ongoing conversation, I'm going to say hi to everybody in just a moment. Find some keys that you don't normally play in. Now, good news, bad news. Again, especially if you're going through something, let me just encourage you to find a way of kind of getting that out on the instrument. And there may be, when you go to play in a new key, like, oh, I suck in that key. But one of the reasons is I kind of do my various salutations with people that I'll pick, hey, let's go to F. Each one of these 12 locations that we can use as a tonal center one is a different tonality on the guitar, which is one of the things we're always looking for, right? First, now E sounds great. There's a tightness to it. An E flat. I mean, we just move. This is the thing that you hear me ramble on about a lot, but I'm always amazed at how that half step way wider than I would have thought by just moving a fret on the neck. The other thing is that I'm going to give you a little bit of of thought, food for thought. If we think about the first 4 notes, let's just move to G for a second, of the G minor pentatonic, and you learn to find that there, and you learn to find that there, and you learn to find that there, and you learn to find it there, and you learn to kind of find those different locations. Let's go to F. So we got there and there. So the whole point is like, let's untether the wagon from pattern number 1. Even though we started there. But like, now here's the thing is that I do believe in kind of knowing where the octaves are, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about where the roots are. Because that's a whole different thing. Like, all right, there's my octave. Like, no. We're thinking about, like, where's my root? Now I'm going to throw something at you here. If you look at this, this F, that F, and that F, you can see it a few weeks ago. I'm going to move up to G for just a second. If I look at that G right there, and I think about that as the 1, 2, 3, 4th corner of the box that starts off the 4, and the 3rd corner of the box that starts off the 5, and the 2nd corner that starts off the flat 7, and the 1st corner that starts off of the 1. That's what I call 4 corners. That is to say, we're surrounding this guy or gal. So it means every time you find one of those roots, you now have a strategy for hitting it from below and from all the different directions to kind of come into it, which is incredibly powerful so long as you have a range of 3 strings to work with. That is to say, we want to be able to kind of surround that. It's basically it's the middle note of 3 strings. So as long as you got 3 strings to work with and you target your middle string, that's the trick, right? So that is to say, on the bottom 3 strings, I'm going to be looking for this G right there at the 10th fret on the 5th string. We're going to be on the 4th string. We're going to be looking at the 5th fret on the 4th string and the 12th fret on the 3rd string. That was pretty easy. 8th fret on the 2nd string. That's all we're going to get. But the neat thing is you can just plug in all that stuff. Sorry. And when we're on the string, we're here. Oh, sorry. Brain on. And the thing about that strange little bit of business, that little, what I call a 1 box shape, just kind of gets offset there. And then that's the flat 3 shape. As long as I play the right thing, there you go. That's what I meant to play. All right, so the idea is it gives you some ways to surround that. Gosh darn it. Let me hit the right notes. All right, brain on. All right. So needless to say, that one just kind of camping out. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. Not targeting the middle string. All right, brain on. We're targeting that guy from. That's why the math wasn't working right. So that's our basically 4th corner, 3rd corner, 2nd corner, 1st corner. Then when we're over at this G, thank you very much. Brain on. Sorry about that. So the point being is, if I take this G, all right. There we go. Thank you. So we got the 4th corner, 2nd corner. Sorry, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and as we go. So on and so forth. Slightly embarrassing, but I got it now. 4th corner, 3rd corner, Gosh, on fourth, third, second, and first. Thank you. All right. So let me jump into the chat here real quick. Okay. All right. Good. I feel you, my man. That would be a great idea, my friend. Great idea. Happy Kramer Day indeed. What's going on, Albert? So I got a little something for you this morning. So we got our good old school groups of 3 notes. And we're going to do it, basically, let's start off with 4s. So, and everybody, if you got your guitar, we're just taking the bottom 4 notes of G minor pentatonic, G, B flat, C, D. And we're basically going to go pick, hammer, pick, or pluck hammer, rather. My fingers are there. My brain's not quite on yet. I guess that's a good time to, hang on, wait for it. Gosh darn it. Raise them up. Let me know where it is that you're coming from and what it is that you need to be drinking more of. That'll help. All right, so the deal is I'm taking this, if you will, box 1, as in 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7. So I'm thinking of this, of that box 1, or I call the 1 box, and the flat 3 box, the 4 box, 5 box, and the flat 7 box. So the deal is, and the idea, instead of using just the pick, we're going to incorporate the freeway finger for some. And initially just go, pick, hammer, pluck, pull, pick, pull. You can also go pick, hammer, pluck, pull, hammer, pull. So this note, that B flat there, you can either pick it and pull off from that, or you can hammer it on. I've been spending time just kind of going down the pentatonic without picking any of the notes. In this case, we're just focusing on the bottom 2 strings, so maybe just initially to get the idea up and rolling. So that's basically up and down what I call the 1 box, flat 3 box, 4 box, 5 box, flat 7 box, 1 box, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 3, back to the 1, and we just go pluck, hammer, pick, hammer, pluck, pull, pick, pull. You can also go up, down, up, down, up, down, which is probably my favorite sequence in the world. That is to say up, down, up, down, up, down. You can also just use the pick. And you can also pick it as well. So, getting back to the original idea, groups of 3 notes. So pick, hammer, pluck, and you can hammer on. I'm going to pick it. Pick, hammer, pluck, pick, pluck, hammer, pluck, pull, hammer, or pluck, pull, pick. But I prefer on the way down. So this guy, we're going pluck, pull, hammer, pluck, hammer, pull. And if you like, for a little bit more articulation, you can pick one of those notes, or, but I just prefer on the way down, because I'm really kind of all about, if I can hammer on or pull off, that is as I go up, straight up and down 4. I can go all the way down, or down 6. I'm going to try and hit as many of those, because at this point I'm really trying to get that, in particular, up at the top of the neck. If you think about, if I fret the note at the 3rd fret there and kind of yank on the string there, and I do the same thing up at the 15th fret, you can feel the tension gets more taut. And hammer-ons and pull-offs, especially using the pinky further up the neck, they become a lot more work. But I'm kind of missional at this point. Of trying to get that pinky, because of us old school pentatonic players, we'll do anything that we can to use the 3rd finger and never use the pinky. However, if you, again, last week we were doing some stuff with the 3-note string pentatonic, and I'm working on and integrating into other patterns and other places, so I can bump into that business anywhere on the neck if I want to, so I can be coming from some sort of and be able to jump into that. So that strengthening of the pinky happens in the midst of all this. So Albert, again for you and everybody else. All right, so there is that. In any case, all right, my mission has been accomplished, and happy Kramer Day to you. Sonia, I love seeing that picture of you and Steve Vai jamming that you posted on social media this morning. Love that shot. Great to see you. Good morning to you, or good evening to you. All right, Terry, what's happening, my man? B flat. Great to see you, my friend. All right, Braxel, I got the Fryette Power Station here to help keep the volume down. There you go. So I'm also going to suggest there's something in addition to the Fryette Power Station, just keeping the amp really quiet, where before it gets into purring range and kind of going, okay, you know, because there will be some situation. I'm always thinking about, like, what happens when I walk into fill in the blank situation? How am I going to deal with that? So the idea. Can I make something happen with not a lot of gain, but enough so it's slightly. And it's not all slow notes, right? Case. That's my thought about that. Okay, Sean, good morning, my friend. You're going to get some eat. That cool little guy over here. How old is that kid now? In your avatar, that is. The other thing I've always harping on about this, don't forget what I call the volume envelope. We've talked a little bit about drum samples and velocity layers. This is a great example on the guitar of a velocity layer. And generally when I'm playing, and my suggestion for you is, just in the same way we wouldn't talk in the same pitch and the exact same dynamic level, we accent certain words and we use our timing to kind of make certain things quieter. Or that's one of the neat things about plugging straight into the amp. It's like once you kind of learn to go, okay, I've got to figure out how to make, for those of us that, again, love to play with delay and the reverb, it's kind of doing some of the work for us in a great way. But there's also this kind of like, well, how do I learn to do how do I do what the delay and the reverb does for me without the delay and the reverb? The other thing about that, the end result is the sound is really clear, and clarity is something, and the funny thing is, delay and reverb, and purposely what we're doing is kind of hiding some of the stuff. And it's also, again, why you'll hear me kind of harping on about, hey, wacky keys like B flat. Because if I pull off the open string, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. All right, let me get back in the chat here. Okay, Shredward, what's happening, my man? I just finished my coffee, and now I'm writing some medieval French-inspired metal riffs on my Edwards Strat. Way to go. Have fun with that, my man. Great to see you again. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out and shredding on, Shredward. All right, Griffin, good morning. Hope we're all well. Catching up on work. Some New Orleans community coffee. That coffee is very great, and thank you for always sending that through. Yes. Dennis, good morning. How are you? Question. You're Bay Area, is that correct? Let me know down in the chat. Nandini. So we're going to call this G sharp. Little Dorian. Back on my art. All right. Do me a favor, anybody that cares to endeavor, mark this timestamp. We're about 30 minutes in, 29 and some change. If you were to take the triads for the key of G major, basically it's taking the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, and B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, and D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, F sharp, E, D, and playing them G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F sharp, C, E, G, D, F sharp, A, E, G, B, F sharp, A, C, G, G, B, D. That's giving us G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and G major. So the deal is you could take any two of those chords, and I'm going to use it to create instant G major. I'm going to dress it up a little bit. that's outlining G major. Now if I go A minor, I'm going to go that minor 11 again. I love that chord. So basically I'm going A minor 7 and B minor 11. Great way to create instant Dorian. And wait for it. We're going to go B minor to C major. But I'm going to probably do something a little bit more. So that's, again, that minor 11 chord that I'm just wearing out like the Dickens. This is one of my favorite chords in the world. It's basically if I want to scream 4 chord and 10 something to get today. All right, basically, it's, instead of playing a power chord with the first and third finger, you're playing with the second and fourth. You're hitting the 6th there over there at the 7th fret on the 4th string. There's the 3 in the 2nd octave, and then basically you're barring across the sharp 4 or sharp 11, but I'm going to call it a sharp 4, and the 7. So it's a major 13, sharp 11, and even though the 6 is in the first octave, I'm going to call it a 13. Major 13, sharp 11 is one of my favorite chords. Again, fingering wise, you could just bar your first finger at the 7th fret, add your second finger at the 8th fret on the 6th string, pinky at the 10th fret on the 5th string, and the third finger at the 9th fret on the 3rd string. Instant Phrygian. Now, we can go back to this major 13 sharp 11, and that little fancy piece of artwork right there is a C over D. And for those of you that have been absolutely terrified of seeing those slash chords, it really means on the upper part of the chord. I'm just playing like I played that G major triad there. I'm playing a C major triad, and instead of going 3, 2, 1 fingering wise, I replace the third finger with the fourth finger, and that third finger comes over the top of the neck and covers the D there, and hence we have a C over D. You get the idea for Mixolydian. And again, the idea is I'm taking neighbor chords. And now what I'm doing is I'm playing that same C over D, and I'm playing D. So essentially I'm going C, D, C, D, but I'm playing C over D to the D. so on and so forth. E minor. Now, traditionally when we play something in the E minor, we will more often than not go 6 chord, 5 chord, 4 chord. But I'm going to sneak in, I'm going to add a third chord. So basically E minor, C major, and D major. E minor. Now, F sharp Lohengrin. Now, as scary as that minor 7 flat 5 sounds fine, sounds weird, but if you get used to the sound of the Phrygian mode, play B Phrygian for a minute. I'm going to switch to B Lohengrin. It doesn't sound that strange once you kind of go, oh, it's just not that much different than Phrygian because that's Phrygian with a natural 5. Lohengrin. I hit the F sharp into the F. There's the F natural. So want to put that third finger down, which I did. I move it back to F sharp. Kind of went to a major 7 there. I played the minor 7 flat 5. It sounds better there than that chord there, I think. Actually, just go to the minor 7 and E minor 7. So it's the equivalent of this. And instead of playing the diminished, we're adding the flat 7 to that, which creates a minor 7 flat 5. And instead of just playing E minor, we're adding the flat 7 to that. It creates a minor 7. F sharp minor 7 flat 5, E minor 7. The great thing about all of that is if you were to think of the guitar like the white keys on the piano, as in E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, G, F, E, D, sorry, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, E, D, B, C, sorry, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, and just change every F to an F sharp, every F to an F sharp, all right, F to F sharp. So as in E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E. That little bit where you kind of, where you saw me just kind of moving around the neck, not playing in the middle of patterns, that's all driven by the fact that it's like, I kind of like What does he call that? Hang on just one second. Tim Pierce has this thing in one of his courses where he talks about, I always forget the exact phrase, so I want to invoke the exact phrase. Where are you, Tim? My man. Where is that quote? It's the equivalent of seeing the big picture, but I want to find the exact quote. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? All right, I'm not going to find it. It's the equivalent of him saying, hey, we want to see the big picture. Oh, there it is. The complete picture of the neck. I love that. And the concept of the complete picture of the neck is if you can see where all the natural notes are, and then just in the same way that if you had a key signature with no sharps or flats, that's C major. So everything you read was literally this E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and then you added the one sharp. That's the key of G, or relative to any of the modes for that. Then you're just kind of saying, hey, if I know that G major and its relative modes are G major, A, Dorian, B, Phrygian, C, Lydian, D, mixed, Lydian, E minor, F sharp, Locrian, and G major, for any of those modes, I can use all same 7 notes up and down the neck. I just need to be conscious over the one chord of resolving on the G, B, or D, and over the 2 chord, the A, C, and E, B, D, F sharp, C, E, G, D, F sharp, A, E, G, B, F sharp, A, C, and G, B, D. By the way, I'm just going G, B, D and hitting the octave of the G. And the other note, create tension. If I only play the sweet notes, in other words, the 1s, 3s, and 5s, you really miss it. Trying to play that song from Oliver and just absolutely butchering it. But the point being is that those other notes, not just the triad notes, all matter because it's the way we create tension and resolution. And so that's where knowing the note has become so important. All right, let me get caught up here a little bit in the chat here because I see some new faces have poked their way in. So let me get here. Okay, good. All right. Freeway, gotta have that freeway finger going there, right? I love that photo, by the way. So I'm giving people the finger all the time. And Albert, I'm still working. There was a thing I was working on this morning. If you take in this case, a G minor triad, let's move up to A Dorian. And I hope you got your guitar out. That A minor triad. So basically it's flat 3, 1, 5, 1, freeway finger. The, oops, I'm dyslexic, that's the non-freeway finger. And then I just added the other notes of pentatonic, so basically flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 3. And one of the other things I'm working on, I'm not there yet, but Albert, this is for you, my friend. And I say it for Albert, but it's for everybody. But he keeps encouraging me, like the more I kind of show some sort of hybrid picking, he's like, more. So basically, I'm only hitting the pedal once for every 2 notes. So I haven't totally got it, but basically I'm going 1, flat 3, 4, 1, 4, 5, 1, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 5, 1, 5, 4, 1, 4, flat 3. That's the one that my brain just doesn't want to do. And that'll be really good for just kind of getting that independence zone. Where are you? Where are you? You there? There we go. All right. That's this. So that guy right there. That'd be a great way to loop, though. And so on and so forth. All right, back over here. Here we go. All right, so does that make sense? Of course it does. 2 years. That is a very cute little photo there, my friend. The pentatonic boxes. So the deal is, per this pentatonic course that I'm working on, I've become a box lunatic. So in addition to thinking about this as my 1 box, flat 3 box, 4 box, 5, and flat 7 box, I'm also thinking about this as my 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4, and 5. And the idea is that as we're playing like this way, it's really hard to recognize, all right, that's the 5 box because I'm a D there. There it is, right? Sorry, I did it again. So there's basically, that right there is going to be my, I'm back in G. There's my 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3. But when we're going backwards, it's really hard to think of this as the 5 box, if you will, if we're starting off this note. So that's why I'm learning to also think of this flat 3, 4, 5, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 3. And learning it. And also learning to go, all right, there's my flat 3, flat 7, 4, 1, 5. And just kind of tracking that from the top note and just getting used to seeing that. Ultimately, what you want to be able to do is see it from both sides, as in 1, flat 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, flat 3, 1, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4, 4, flat 3, 1, flat 7, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5, so on and so forth. Then flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, flat 7, 1, 4, sorry, flat 7, 5, 4, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 4, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, 5, sorry. I'm not as good going backwards. Flat 7, 1, flat 7, 5, 4, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, 5, 4, flat 3, 1, flat 3, 1, flat, 5, 4, flat 3, 1, 1, flat 3, 4, 5. But I'm gonna get equally good. And, you know, it's a lot easier to think of this as being my 1 box than think of this as the descending 5 box. Because we're so used to, if we think about the first way we learn to play the minor pentatonic, say we're going to play it in B flat. First thing we do is like, let's pin the shape on the donkey. So we just find B flat down there and we plug it in from the lowest note of the pattern. All right, there we go. All right, time to update the photo. He is snowboarding. I love that. All right, Tony, I was looking forward to seeing you today. Okay. All right, long one. Okay, let's see if I can get here. Hey, brother. Great to see you, my friend. I did my interpretation of Joe's tumble and posted it on Facebook and tagged you. If I don't get back on Facebook quite often, I don't see the stuff I'm tagged on, simply because I live in this room and I'm so fixated on the things that I'm trying to actually get together for myself and get out into the world, like posting my own stuff on Facebook and Instagram, that sometimes I'll just miss stuff. So I think you'll get a kick out of it if you have time later. Check it out. I think for me and my videos, it's actually pretty good for once. That's awesome. They always sound great. I know it's off topic, but I also sent you an email. Please check it when you get a chance. Hang on a second. Where did I miss that? Where is my buddy Anton Shred? Hang on a second. Let me make sure that got to wherever it was supposed to get to when it was supposed to get there. Just real quick, because if not, there it is. Okay, great. Good, good, good. All right. Yep. Just want to make sure. Okay, great. All right. Thanks so much, my friend. Rick Harrison. Hey, Mr. D, I hope you're having a great, lovely day. I'm enjoying watching your show, and I can't wait until you're playing somewhere I can fairly local so I can come catch you. I would love that as well. Have a great day, and tell your lovely wife I said hi. And the same. And one of my favorite guitars here is a guitar that Rick built at RH Custom, and it's a great guitar. He builds great guitars. He posted a new one today on Facebook, and it's lovely. All right, David, what's going on? All right, F sharp. It's a great key because you get that flat 7. Okay, back to work here. First of all, appreciate everybody tuning in. Got a little something to work on. So one of the interesting things, because I live so much in pentatonic land, I've not been spending as much time in 3-note string land, and I realized, especially with the stuff I'm wanting to do with the minor pentatonic when it gets to playing in groups of 3 notes, I was like, I need to spend a little bit more time getting fluid and fluent on pairs of strings. So as it relates to you, I've got something that I put together in Guitar Pro, which is this exact lick. It's relative to the key of G major, which is where a lot of my practice lives. And the concept is an interesting one. Now, a minute ago, we were kind of talking about these pentatonic boxes. Think of this, on the ascending side, this is the 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. And on the descending side, we'll go this way, 5, 4, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5. With the 3-note per string modes, I have a similar idea, what I call modal string pairs, where if you take the bottom 6 notes of each 3-note string mode, all right, you get the idea. So basically, that's taking the bottom 6 notes of major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, minor, and Locrian. And you can think of that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Because you can, because it's thinking of the 7 different scale degree numbers of the major scale. So if you were to start here, that is the D, that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I digress. So that D there is the 5. So whatever shape you play there, then the 6, 7, 1. So the idea being, this is an expression of the notes of the G major. Initially, kind of the concept started off just taking the notes of the G major scale, and basically saying G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C, hold the D, hold the E, hold the F sharp, half to G, and adding an A and a B on the end. For the octave, doing each group of 3 notes 2 times as 8th note or 16th note triplets, depending on your speed and the tempo. 2, 3, 4, 8th note triplets. And one of the other things you might do is just spend some time just going. just getting your right hand used to that. You also just go pick, hammer, hammer. I would actually suggest doing that at each one of these spots 4 or 8 times. That way, you've got some nice muscle memory going there. Same thing with... And that way you're just kind of drilling each one of those spots in, because when you're doing this exercise, you're doing it twice. You're not camping out at each one of those spots too long. So having a chance to hang out there a little longer is actually a really good thing. That way it kind of really gets underneath your fingertips and you get a better feel in terms of the muscle memory. Now, then the kind of natural extension back in the day, I was like, well, I've got people playing up and down the high E string. What about the second string? So instead of starting in the key of D major and thinking there's my 1, 2, 3, I just took the notes from G and extended them down, as in G, F sharp, E, D. And that exercise preceded the modal string pairing exercise, where I kind of went, well, what about the bottom strings? And I went, oh, there's my 1. So that means that 1, 7, 6. And it's a good idea to think of that as 1, 7, 6. Somehow I called the 5 6. So that's 1, 7, 6, 5. So there's our 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, so on and so forth. So the deal is, for this, just the main exercise, just going. And that's just each spot 2 times. But this lick, it's just kind of fun because it allows us to mix them and match them. So there is a guitar profile that I've created that is, I'm not going to bother switching screens, but it's no cancel you. Now, it's not the greatest sound in the world, but and you can just build up speed. And hang out in Guitar Pro. So if you want that, do me a favor. Shoot me an email at dougdopplermusic@gmail, and I'll be happy to get that to you. Because, Guitar Pro, what's really neat about it is it gives you the tablature, but it also allows you to play along with it and just loop it. So it will be looped 99 times. And if you want there and you got Guitar Pro, you can get in and change the tempo if you want. What do I find the most... Okay, what do I find is the most efficient way to functionally earn the notes on the fretboard? So the most functional way to learn them, it's a great question. I would pick a key. All right. There are a couple of layers to this. So let me just zoom out, hence the all right, and talk about the global layer. It's first of all, it's a great question. It's one of my favorite topics in the world, because it's a funny thing is that I really kind of, every week I'm banging away on this pentatonic course. And one of the things that I realized this week, and it's going to be a very interesting teaching point because I'm not quite sure exactly what the moving pieces are going to look like. But as I'm teaching people to play the pentatonic, almost always it's presented in like, here's where you place the note on the low E string, and then here's some shapes that kind of relate to that up and down the neck. Have at it. See ya. That's more or less the mentality around it. And the reality is you can play the minor pentatonic over any mode that has a 1 flat 3 4 5 flat 7, as in Dorian, Phrygian, and minor. And more importantly than that, when we're playing chord progressions, we're basically playing modal chord progressions and playing the minor pentatonic over it. So we don't have the remotest idea that that's happening in the background. We have no framework to really understand how the minor pentatonic is being used. That is a little early, I kind of did my little Dorian. But the reason the minor pentatonic sounds the way it does, versus where it sounds, here it sounds, even though I'm not playing the natural 6 and the natural 2, and here I'm not playing the flat 6 and the flat 2. You can still hear the sound of the scale because I'm just basically taking the Dorian mode or the Phrygian mode and I'm filtering out the 2 and the 6. It's not any less the Dorian or the Phrygian mode. It's just that we're opting not to play 2 notes. So if you think about your average solo, we frequently don't play all 7 notes in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We hang out in little spots, right? Now, we quite frequently will hit the 6 and the 2 because they add a nice amount of... But you don't have to play them. The point being is that you're still... the flavor of the mode is still seeping through even though you're leaving out those other 2 notes. So conceptually, regardless of whether you're a pentatonic player or not, you're playing over 7-note chord progressions. So the starting place would be just becoming comfortable at least with the natural notes. Like I mentioned before, the ability where people start on the piano is playing all the white keys, which is the natural notes, which means that if you take a look at the staff. Sorry. So I'm there just kind of walking through the modes of C major, right? It would be the first thing you do is get used to being able to look at the staff. Chris, hello, my friend. Great to see you. I see you. I got you. Thank you. The idea is that if you can see the neck and literally just see the natural notes, it means that once you understand the key of G major has 1 sharp, but all the other notes are the same, or the key of F major has 1 flat, B flat, and all the other notes are the same, then all of a sudden you look at the neck and you see what Tim Pierce describes as the big picture. That is to say, I'll exemplify, so to answer your question, I'm going to do it in a way that's fun. I'm really glad, great question, by the way. So first of all, the key of C major, 2 holes and a half, 3 holes and a half. As in C, hold the D, hold the E, half to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C. By the way, we are an hour and 5 minutes into the stream, so maybe you want to make a note of that. We started about an hour or so in, Tim. So the deal is, we can think of this as C, hold the D, hold the E, half to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C. And you can think of that as you're playing the white keys. C, there's a black key in between C and D, black key in between D and E, no black key in between E and F, and so that 2 holes and a half. And then from F to G, there's a black key. G to A, there's a black key. A to B, there's a black key. So that's our 3 holes. And then from B to C, it's a half step because there's no black key in between. So basically, as you're cruising up the key of C major where there are black keys, the white notes that are on either side are whole step apart. Where there are no black keys, the white notes that are next door to each other, and those are a half step apart. And that just happened to go C, hold the D, hold the E, half to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C. As in C, hold the D, hold the E, half to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C. So the deal is you can also think of this 1, hold the 2, hold the 3, half to 4, hold the 5, hold the 6, hold the 7, half to 1. But that's a different lesson. So the deal is, if you can just think, hey, All right, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. Here's where it becomes fun. What we're going to do is the first hammer on is going to be either F or B or E or A or C or the octave of F. So we're going to go. It's an eighth note triplet, 2 triplet, triplet. And you're going to call it F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, E, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, F, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, F, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F. That will do what Tim Pierce calls allow you to see the big picture. Because then instead of just playing a fingering, which is pretty much how all of us learn to play the modes, let's say if I took this G major fingering, and I like to call it pin the shape on the donkey because honestly, like some juvenile game that we play here in the United States when we're about yay tall, it's just some, at a certain point, most adults would not play pin the tail on the donkey. And at a certain point, you grow past the point where a game like that, you're just too mature for that. But the way most of us play the pentatonic and the modes is kind of like pin the tail on the donkey because we actually are not taught to actually go, it might have a shape, but it'd probably be a really good idea to go, hey, if we're playing G major, those are G, hold to A, hold to B, half to C, hold to D, hold to E, hold to F sharp, half to G. And gosh darn it, G, hold to A, hold to B, half to C, hold to D, hold to E, hold to F sharp, half to G, hold to A, hold to B, half to C, hold to D, hold to E, hold to F sharp, half to G, hold to A, hold to B, half to C, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. And it literally is as dumb is being able to go, all right, let me just go through the notes in one octave. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. And I'm going to be going through them forwards. I'm going to be going through them backwards. So as long as we start at the right note at the right time, we literally kind of, without even necessarily having to know exactly where they are, we play the right fingering and we start at the right note. We can take what we learned from pin the shape on the donkey and go, all right, that's G. If I can go G, A, B, C, D, F sharp, G, and just keep playing the right shape and coordinate G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. All right, they ended up C, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. And then look at it, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A. And all of a sudden you're like, oh. And then you're in a completely different place. So I'm going to leave it there, other than to say before you start doing that with the 3-note per string modes, take what we did for the natural notes and switch every F. Play an F sharp and switch in an F sharp. F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, B, C, A, moron. A, me that is, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, F sharp, E, D, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp. That will just change your world. And you look at it and go, I see the notes. It's literally, Steve I had the thing, kind of where you would flick a switch and the fret markers would illuminate. That same thing will happen with the natural notes, and then swapping out the F for the F sharp, and then you have it. Literally, if you just did those two keys, you'd be like, oh snap. And if you're wanting kind of the and I'm not saying this to infantilize you. If you're wanting to just start on one place, just start on low E string. So it's just going to be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D. Actually, so we're going to go to the octave of the F. So you could just go F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp. And as I did that, you could see it's like, so the neat thing about just doing it on the one string, and that was basically the equivalent of switching between E Phrygian and E minor, by the way. But it just allows you to really go, oh, because when you start, and then I'm just doing the same thing on each string, just picking it up from A and D and G, so on and so forth. But the simplicity of just singing on that one string, you go, oh, snap. And it just makes it such that you can solo up and down. The other thing I would suggest doing is just kind of getting a little pedal going on E. And just kind of... And I'm not really trying to, in this instance, I probably should try, make it more musical, but I'm really just kind of going, let me just wander. Play the F sharp. So we go. Actually, you know what? We're going to actually set up an E Phrygian thing, so we're going to hit the flat 2. And yes, it could be E locrian, but it's not in this case. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... And literally just kind of walking up each string, playing the natural notes. So there we did the same thing, but yeah, we don't want to hang out at the F sharp too much because it starts sounding like F sharp, which we don't want. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And you'll see those notes work together. Now, if you are a kinesthetic person out there, what I want you to do is not look at the neck and just go right, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then you'll draw the picture visually. But that's the indoor for kinesthetic learners, of whom there are many in the guitar playing community. All right, let me scroll back up here a little bit, and so Tim, thanks for that. That was really, really cool. White Eye, what up? How's it going? Great to see you, my man. All right, Tony. Huge topic: online games structured around the note names and intervals. It helps a great deal. That's been mind-boggling question for me. And yes, I've been searching for years, literally, to figure out. I'm finally getting it to click. Awesome. I understand more of what Doug says on these shows now. Awesome. My 2 cents. I'll get the exact name of the one I'm currently messing with, which is free, by the way. Awesome. String Kick. There we go. .com for whoever's ever asking. That's great. All right. Thank you. Hold on. Got to post it there. All right. Natural. The cool thing about that particular one I'm using is that if you have a mic, you can get the full benefit. You can sing the notes, pick them with your mouse, and play the notes with your guitar. So it really takes asterisk. All right, hey Matt, what's going on, my man? A little E flat for you. Nice to see you, Matt. Always a pleasure, my friend. Okay, Matt's working on a new album, by the way. Killer. All right, dropping singles. Come on, Matt. Feel free to drop a link in the chat there. All right, Eric Barnett's tribute to Jeff Beck is in my neck of the woods in a few weeks. Oh, awesome. Yes. Go support, please. All right. Have you seen Steven Roserin or Brad Tolinsky's Chris Gill's Beck books? Boy, everybody's kind of. It's funny those guys drop a Van Halen book and then a Beck book. All right. So, Chris, bless his dear soul. Gosh darn it. Let me get to the right spot. Where is this? My favorite thing in the world. I just love this. Here we go. Look at that right there. Come on. Warms the soul. All right. So here's the deal. A lot of Chris's question, number one, a lot of rock songs and metal songs use the minor pentatonic scales. Is the major pentatonic used as widely in other genres? Okay, so, it's an interesting thing. I am spending a lot of time, part of my daily diet is jamming along with other players. First of all, watching other people's reels and madly lifting ideas so I can put my fingers in places that I wouldn't have put them in until I was inspired to kind of go, oh, they're doing that thing. In the back pocket it goes. And it's also, usually, half the time I'll start off kind of, figuring out what somebody plays, and then the other half the time, then a half an hour later, I'm like, onto some idea based on the idea, based on the idea, based on the idea that was based on the idea that they were doing. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So it really fuels that fire. So the other part of what I do is I play along with different songs. So one of the guys that I'm playing along with these days for all those reasons is Michael Schenker. And one of the things that's really interesting about a bunch of the Schenker is that a number of the songs are basically playing a Mixolydian rhythm. Which means but he's now that's not sounding like Michael Schenker, but the idea if you're outlining basically a 5-chord 4 1. So the deal is basically got this chord. I'm not even doing that. If I play it a dominant 7 chord. When I play it with a flat 3, little baby Ben, but I might give it a little kind of a tweak in there, but not nearly as much as when I'm playing in a blues setting. Again, I'm not getting all the way to the natural 3. I'm not going that far. So, but with this kind of pure minor pentatonic, which is, I'm going to segue into this conversation about major pentatonic. So one of the other bands that I'm spending some time listening to Sorry. Is the Allman Brothers. And they spend a lot of time in major pentatonic. And again, that's not an Allman Brothers riff in any way. But if you want to play something... And I'm not quite there harmonically of figuring out kind of where, you know, my resolutions are, because I spend so much time in the pentatonic, but I'm really so basically you could take G major, A minor, actually you just go G major, A minor, C major, D major, or else you go D major, add 4. And you want to be targeting the G, B, and the D. At least over that chord. And finding some ways. Sorry, G major. And outlining those G's, B's, and D's. And the thing that's really neat about it is you can hear me kind of falling into the pocket there. If I switch to E minor, now I go back to major. You're going to hear it. Leaning into it the same way I would lean into the minor pentatonic, but playing it as, you know, the major pentatonic. And it, in this particular case, I was using, this is kind of one of the reasons the framework of the modes is so important. Anywhere you've got a minor chord like the 2, 3, and 6, you can play the minor pentatonic as an over Dorian, Phrygian, and minor. Any place you got a major chord, as in the 1, 4, and 5, I don't know why I didn't go to the 1 there, 1, 4, and 5, major, Lydian, mixed Lydian, you can play the major pentatonic over that. And G major, its relative minor is E minor. So you can use pattern number 1 of the E minor pentatonic over both of those. So basically, everywhere there's a minor chord, a step and a half up, there's a major chord, as in the 2 and the 4, the 3 and the 5, and the 6 and the 1. So if you're relative major and relative minor, or relative Dorian and relative Lydian, and relative Phrygian and relative mixed Lydian, they follow that same kind of relationship. So if you're toggling back and forth between, for example, A Dorian, then I go up to Lydian. And you can hear that same sort of thing. So you just want to be aware of it's when you switch from minor pentatonic to major pentatonic or back and forth, it's not always going to be lining up over the 6 and the 1, or the 1 and the 6, depending on how you see it. In fact, that was kind of cool the way it was going between the 2 and the 4. That back to A Dorian. You get the idea. All right. I digress. All right. So, Chris, what a great question. All right. Now, if you use an extension cord to power your amp, is there a certain style, length, or brand that is best? It's a great question and very, very, very important. Number 1, the right there, you can see there's something long. What's that on the ground there? No, that's another one there. Well, but you will see. I'm going to go ahead and give both of them, this one and then that one right there and that one right there. There we go. So I ordered those. Basically, I ordered those off of the one and only Amazon, and I got the biggest, fattest power cables that I possibly could. And those aren't actually extension cords. Those are really just wall-based power to IEC. However, somewhere back in the mix of there is a 3-prong extension cord. And so I purposely went out and got the one that has the largest size to it. And as I recall, like it is with speaker wire, it's kind of backwards. So ironically, 12 gauge, as I recall, speaker wire is the fattest compared to 18. I don't know why it's like that, and I'm pretty sure it's like that also with power cables. But the point being is, the other thing is, although you can't see it easily, I've got a number of Furman, that one you can see that are kind of power conditioners that have outlets on the back, but I have a number of Furman power strips that are here. And there's another unit there. I'm going to forget the name of that brand. What are you? You say on top? Rockin' Stompin'. So the thing about the Rockin' Stompin' is that you'll see a bunch of lights, and the one right there allows you to power on it has a stepped power where it's you got a PA, and the last thing you want to turn on is the power amp. Turn on your mixing board, because quite often if you got your power amp on, there'll be a pop, and it's loud if your power amp is set at kind of standard PA volume. So it's got staged power. So I've been using that. The only downside is the on-off switch is on the side of it, and gosh darn it, I've kicked that more times than I care to remember. So the little Furman boxes, they're really good, and I've become quite fond of them. So I bought like 6 of them on Reverb. So there's one. Well, hang on. I can get in frame. I can see the lights. Okay? My foot is. Let's see. Let me lift you up without breaking anything. Maybe not. Hang on. We're almost there. Come on. You come through. Here we go. Where are we? There's my hand. So that means that the Furman box is completely, slightly invisible. All right. So in case this thing I'm floating around here in the background here, that is the Furman power strip, and I've become quite fond of those. They work really well. They've got a really long cable. They're surge protected, which is one of the things you want. Generally speaking, you don't want to buy kind of cheap stuff that's kind of like, hey, I got a good deal on Amazon. It's worth paying money for. Okay. All right. Hang on a second. Fred, what are you saying here? You got Hendrix, Van Halen, Dimebag, etc. For me, the most prolific and inspiring guitar player in rock. Dimebag was amazing. Has got to be Steve Vai. All right, sorry. And for me, the most prolific and inspiring player in rock history has got to be Steve Lukather. Toto's playing tonight in San Francisco, right? So complete legend. Absolutely. First of all, Edward, thanks for being here. I am working my butt off, and most importantly, one of my favorite things to do is share everything that I'm trying to learn and practice with you. So thanks for hanging out. All right, wire size is a small number. The larger the wire. Yeah, right? Why? I don't know. But the point being, it's a really, really, really great question, because the instinct is go, oh, let me just get a good power strip. Or instinct is like, let me get a good deal on Amazon. Like, no, it's actually there's some things that, because everything of value gets plugged in there, you don't want power surges. I played at a venue where there was bad power, and you want to protect your gear. It's a thing. All right. Chris, yeah, Beck was an interesting cat. At one point, he did an album with Steve Lukather. It was finished, but then he shelved it. Jeff was temperamental. So, all right. There we go. Oh, and Lukather sings like a bird. It's not fair. All right. All right, Chris, I'm starting to talk about reading the Linsky Gill book. I'm sure it will be interesting. Absolutely. I bought several of the Furman power strips as well for home and at our church. Awesome, awesome, awesome. They work great. Thank you. Yes and amen. I've been really, really impressed with, first of all, the box is wide, right? You ever know? Okay, it's a double row. Now, if you've ever tried to stick multiple wall warts next to each other on the same box, you'll appreciate the fact that you got both sides to be able to work with. It's a big deal. All right. Do I own any always-on pedals? What a great question. So one of the things that's happening over here, and slow motion, I am in the process of building. I have a bass pedal board that I use for church, and I just don't touch it. I leave it all wired. As soon as you start pulling stuff off, you're just like, you forget. You grab and all of a sudden you open up what's great is I have literally the identical pedal board as my church bass pedal board, and this guy is the same pedal board, and they have the same case. So I've actually now I can neither confirm nor deny. So I'm a mad label making freak, but I can't find where I put it. But I created a little label that says bass, spelled of course BEHS. I have absolutely become enamored with Danny, I think it's Sapko, kind of a prolific bass playing YouTuber who is, first of all, slightly caustic in a really lovely way, and he plays the snot out of the bass. So I'm like, So that's going to get put on the case for the one. This is the base one, so I always know which is which. But this is the beginning of, speaking of dime, this is the beginning of my guitar pedal board. And for a moment, it's going to have the SD1 for some ongoing content for the boogie stuff. The broadcast, this is the broadcast AP. So this is, I think this is the AP, yeah. Aren't you? Maybe not. I don't know. I've got the box around here. I think it's the broadcast AP, and it's basically kind of like a Neve channel strip with two different iterations, kind of like, but it's a really great kind of semi-transparent console-esque boost, and so if you want just more but not too much, it's a great little pedal. And so the great thing about the dime wah is over on the other side here, there are two outs. And on the very beginning of all of this right here, I'm going to go back and play the intro track real quick. And if you listen, it's going, I think I've got the wah on. Hang on, let me just double check. I won't play it too long. Yeah, so what's happening is it's got two outs, but only one of them has the wah-wah on it. So I reached out to my buddy Brian that works at Dunlop. I was like, because I couldn't figure out, because I didn't just isolate one or the other. It wasn't until I did it. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. I had them both up, and I'm like, it's really cool. So it's the sound of one side being wah'd and the other not. And it's not the sort of thing that you would normally do, but I'm going to play it again. It's really cool. And I was like, oh, okay, so I have a second one that's actually Velcroed to the ground down here that's been customized by the folks at Dunlop. So it's got a spring. So it's basically anytime you depress it, it's on, as opposed to having to do that, right? But the thing about it is because it's got the two outputs, to get it exactly where you want it, if you just want to leave it cocked, because that one's got the spring, you got to have your foot on it. So I bought a second one, or actually I got a second one because I'm a Dunlop artist, and that for any of there's some rhythm parts that I also used it for, where you've just got it set at a particular spot. So the neat thing is, unlike the one that's on a spring that bounces back right away, this one I can just kind of find the sweet spot, and I can just leave it and track with that. So for that reason, I have a second one. But always on pedals, the Worship guys, since you brought that up, David, the Worship guitar players almost always leave their compressor on, and arguably one drive pedal. For the rectifier crew, there are many of the rectifier and boogie crowd, but the rectifier in particular, that the funny thing is the SD1 is kind of, I've never owned one. Back when I first met Steve Vai, he was using one of these into the front end of his Carvin, wasn't a Legacy yet, it was the X100Bs. He had a pair of those, right? And he was using that to step on for a little bit of solo boost in terms of volume and some additional gain. That was his solo tone. And he just sounded like Steve. I mean, you plug Steve into a wet paper bag, he's gonna sound like Steve Vai. But the point being, that pedal into the front end of the dual rec is exceedingly cool. Takes a little bit of the low end rumble out, tighten things up, and just makes it. It's already a super mean amp, but it makes it even meaner. And so I picked this up at local guitar store, and I will actually. The funny thing is, probably like everybody, I think if you go to Guitar Center long enough, you'll probably have a range of experiences. I am grateful that my most recent experiences have actually been really good. And I was in particular, how put it this way, there was a guy that threatened to beat me up at a Guitar Center once because he was such a dick that worked there. Literally, it's like, oh, we can take it outside. I'm just like, that's an interesting take to have with your customers. However, with that in mind, that was a long time ago. Yeah. The I was so excited to be able to go to my local Guitar Center and buy that pedal. I don't think I've ever been more excited about buying a pedal in my life. And, I was able to just bring it home and do that. I bought this head at Guitar Center. I'm a boogie endorser, but kind of like I am a what you would probably call a C-level endorser. So, that we'll leave the nuance of that there. But the thing is that I bought this amp in San Francisco. The guy that worked with me there, Rodrigo, was awesome. Also, there's an Epiphone Les Paul Custom that I bought in Concord. I just love that guitar. So I've had some really cool experiences. I will say, I'm a fan of Sweetwater and Reverb, but I really love being able to walk into a local music store, find the gear that I'm wanting to check out, being able to check it out before I buy it, and then being able to buy it. It's a big thing for me. Okay. So in any case, Chris, to wrap up on your questions, thank you, by the way. In this moment, I don't have an always-on pedal, and I generally have it. Now, I want to say that this with a little bit of nuance. When I play at church, I pretty much always have a couple always-on pedals. There's and I don't remember. Oh, right, it is I've got the Mesa Boogie, their new preamp. That's kind of the heart of the tone. But I'm also using I forget the name of the nope, gone. But the boost that the guy that designed the Subway DI preamp. He also Gens-Benz. Thank you. It's the Gens-Benz pedal that's basically a subtle overdrive that I've gone on. Then there's a compressor that's always on. And those three things are always on for bass. For the worship guitar thing that I do, I've got Fancy Pants Helix Stadium, but the funny thing is that I'll be playing tomorrow morning. I'm using the same old worship tutorials preset. It's probably an AC30 and something else in stereo. It's got a compressor and then it's got a Timmy and kind of the King of Tone, a Timmy, and it's 3 drive pedals, and I continuously stack them. Basically, the compressor's always on, and 2 of the drive pedals pretty much always on, and then I add the Timmy at the end if I need a little bit more boost, as I recall. So it's like a Tube Screamer, a Timmy, and and a King of Tone. But basically, it's most of the stuff is always on, and a copious amount of delay and reverb. So that is to say, that situation isn't always on. But for the most part, I'm really enjoying just plugging straight into the amp and using a small amount of reverb when I'm doing that. Great question. How about some shreddy blues in E minor? Thanks, I needed that. Okay, how about it? That was fun. Thank you, my friend. All right, Doug, if you have a pedal that takes 9 or 18 volts, you try and power both options and see which I like more. That's a really great question. Generally speaking, A couple pieces of advice. You can actually see where I adulterated this. One of the things that I do when I put Velcro on a pedal is I never cover the screws. And I'm finding these days that when I actually do go to sell, the only gear I really sell is pedals. But when I do, I'm finding that I'm leaving the Velcro on because most people, they're going to get the pedal and put Velcro on. So like you're kind of doing them a favor. But you put it in, for me, the widest rows apart on the top and bottom, and I don't cover the screws. And quite often, it will say there, kind of 9 or 18. As I recall, I need to check the manual. That can be run at 9 or 18. With a pedal like that, that additional headroom, I will try off of my various power supplies because just about all my power supplies have a 9-volt option in the mix of what they have to offer. Generally speaking, if it says it wants 18 volts, I give it 18 volts. But I'm not a pedal voltage sphincter. That is to say, by the time you add whatever's on the amp, some delay in the reverb, are you really going to notice it? Is the person in the 5th row going to notice it? Now, in theory, we want to actually test it because that's a really good idea. But generally speaking, I kind of plug it in and I just play. I like it or I don't like it, right? Which is really kind of a stupid approach because arguably one really should go, all right, here's 9 volts, here's 18 volts. What do I like about each of them, right? For example, this amp, there it is. There it is in spongy power, which is basically a variac. It's dropping the voltage to the amp down, so it's operating with less efficiency. And there it's in bold power. And it's the fastest, it's the tightest response. The point being is that for rhythm, it's the fastest. And what I've been trying to do as of late, like I've said before, the orange channel has a slower response, which means the notes aren't kind of. Joe Bonham also talked about something kind of like how ideally something about kind of the speed of which the notes come off the strings, and really what that resonated me with is like you hit the string, how much time is there by the time it kind of blooms and comes out of the speaker, and that is really fast, and it's taken some kind of getting used to. I'm like. First, I was like, on this kind of preparing a bunch of content around this. One of my talking points was going to be generally for soloing, orange channel because it's slower, especially for tight, heavy rhythms, the red channel. But I decided to stop being such a weenie, and I was like, well, you know what? Let me learn how to solo on the red channel and stop being such a weenie. So I decided to stop being a weenie, and I'm like, oh. So, and the other thing is if you're playing in a band that's super loud and all sorts of stuff, and maybe there's a lot of 16th note stuff happening, that's where being first to the note actually really begins to matter. And so in that sense, that's where manipulating the headroom, be it in a pedal or the amplifier, actually matters. And I'm pretty sphincteronious about it inside the amp, so I should be better about it with the pedals. So lesson learned. Thank you for that, Chris. Great question. Dunlop just released a doubler, flanger doubler. Price so you can't see it, but I have the original MXR flanger doubler over there for the basically the recreation of the dime bag rig for a video that I have never done. There's 2 or 3 of the stacks over there. I've got all the stuff. I just haven't done it yet. In time. All right. Looking to move. All right, Albert. All right, there we go. I'm looking to move from my Dunlop 535. I prefer one with more wah and the foot motion. The 535 is better at the fixed setting like slash or shanker. So yes, I absolutely love the slash wah. It's got all sorts of adjustments on the other side. There's a trio of adjustments, and it's got the most important thing, the boost. So you can kick that with the side of your boot there. I guess it's a boot something. Sorry. I love this wah. It's just kind of like it's perfect. And especially if you have the Dunlop Guys Custom, the one that's on the floor again, it springs back kind of like the Bad Horsey. It's just great. So yes, yes, yes. No, especially if you you got a Dry Bell 67 Solo Dallas CDC. Oh, look at you! You're fully Solo Dallas out. I love that. I did a demo for the CD65, but I don't have it yet. I do have the Storm, and awesome. That's some killer stuff there, my man. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Jonathan. I go to Exchange Community Church in Walnut Creek, but I'm going to be playing at a church that's in my hometown tomorrow, Moraga Valley Presbyterian. Technically, I'm in Orinda, but it's the next town over. So, how about you? Where do you go? All right, Braxel. I do not like buying pedals without Velcro. I do not like buying. So I'm really glad you said. So traditionally, I always peeled all the Velcro off. I'm gonna make at some point a little video about this. So I remember when I was little, and the first time I blew bubble gum, a bubble, and then I got it all over my face. My mom taught me you take the gum, and that's how you get it off your face. So in case those of you that want to go to flip a pedal that's had Velcro off, you peel it off, and there's some of the gunk on there. Use either the old piece of Velcro, the gummy side of it, or a new one, and just kind of use it to pull the Velcro glue stuff off the bottom of the pedal. It works like a charm. It sure does sound like Crushy Dave. In any case, so and that, but so I always was really. I'm on the word sphincteronius today. I got a lesson, by the way. Set an alarm for 5 minutes. That starts in. Thank you. In 6 minutes. So the deal is, I always took the Velcro off. But then I was like, well, most people are going to put the Velcro back on. So I was like, and this one, I ended up, I think I had, I had these 2 extra pieces from somewhere, and I decided to reclaim them and just cut a shorter piece because honestly, I'm always running out of Velcro. So there's never enough of this stuff. So I'm always extra careful to not get rid of it. But it's actually a really good point. So the other thing that I will also do sometimes is I'll peel all the Velcro off, and when in the listing I'll put, say, Velcro Virgin. Even if I've actually cleaned it up, which I guess is slightly misleading. Oh well. Pedal volt sphincter. We're testing with a pedal to volt sphincter. There we go. I bought an old black label Boss CH2. Awesome. It has Velcro. I remove it, and the label will be destroyed. So for that reason, yes. So this is. So this is. It used to be a company called Pedal Tricks, and they've now been bought by Pig. Not Pigtronics, but Pig something or other. Here we go. No, that's not it. I've thrown the top part of this away, but these are for your Boss pedals, and they, as you can see, you basically can take the middle section out if you're so inclined, so it does not destroy your black or silver label that's on the inside of your Boss pedal. And the other thing, what's great about these Velcro and Boss pedals, the rubber material on the bottom of the Boss pedals is really not very Velcro friendly. These work great. And this company kind of disappeared off the market, and now this other company, Pig something or other, has picked them up. All right, I'm getting close on time, so let me just make sure I'm not going to miss any pieces here. Awesome. Yes, sphincteronius. It's just one of those words. It's just so perfect. Great to have you with us, by the way. Okay, I gave $30 at a pawn shop. Way to go. What do you mean you're from Orinda? I live in El Dorado Hills now and go to Bayside. Oh, that's awesome. That's I had no idea. So Lincoln isn't there anymore, but I've known Lincoln Brewster for a couple of decades. I've been to Bayside. I taught at Christian Musician Summit at Bayside. That's awesome. So, Jonathan, next time you head back into town, I would take it your folks are still in Orinda, maybe. Look me up, meet for coffee or something. That is as long as I'm not in the midst of total mayhem, but in any case, and I'm always in the middle of mayhem, but in any case, awesome. I escaped Dorinda before Miramonte High, but we won't go there. All right, Braxel, I got a Morningstar MC4 controller and the ML10X loop switcher, and I cannot wrap my head around how to program an SI. I guess I'm getting too old. Okay. First of all, the MC4, I'm familiar with, and those are pretty straightforward. The ML10X, just watching the clock here. Oh, all right. And ML10X, that's the 10 morning. So that's their looper with reorderable. I'm not going to have time to do it before I leave, but, do me a favor, prod me about that. And let me just take a poke through there, because I will say the MC4 is wonderfully easy to program. You used to be able to plug it in and had this internet connection, and you could do it via Chrome. It was really easy. So let me just poke around and see if it's easy, and then maybe what we can figure out is some micro tutorial. First of all, I've got a lesson that I get to start in 1 minute. So Anton Shred, you're on a different point of connection here. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I love doing this. I love getting up early and preparing and kind of going, what are we doing today? And by the way, this little guy here, sorry, if you want to get the guitar profile for that, hit me at DougDopplerMusic@gmail, and I will send that along. I've got a lesson that's starting now, so my alarm is supposed to be going off, but it's not. I've got my Toto tickets. Yes! Excellent. Have a great time. Awesome. Enjoy the show. All right. Braxel, thank you. Everybody, much love. Onward, and I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. By the way, the following 3 Saturdays after that, I'm going to be I'm not going to be doing a live stream. So, to be continued. Thank you. Much love. Bye for now. See you next week.